Welcome back to SADGIC The Gathering. I am your host. And today we will be ranking every single set of Magic the Gathering that came out in 2024. So there were 10 sets that came out this year, and we are going to... No, not you. Never you. Leave. Gosh, sorry. The leech, man. This year was kind of a mixed bag. I mean, I think most years are for Magic. The lows were pretty low, but the highs were high. My criteria came down to four main things. Number one, impact on the current landscape of Magic. Do these cards have staying power? Do people want to be putting them in their decks, or were they just sort of a flash in the pan and forgettable? Number two is card art and card design. How do they look? What are the frames? What are the treatments? Was the art cool? And for card design, do we feel like the mechanics are cool, sustainable? Do people want to play them? Did it work well? Number three is lore, world building, and context within Magic the Gathering. Does the set work from a storytelling perspective? Is the world and the plane that they created functional? Does it make sense? Is it engaging? Does it entice people? And does it make sense with other sets and the world and universe that they've created? And lastly is distinctness and uniqueness. I know that kind of blends a lot of them together, but basically how unique and fresh and exciting do these cards feel? Are they cards that have carved their own path? Do they fit in well with other things? Do they feel iterative? Does it feel boring? Or do we feel like they're trying to say something new and push the game in a new direction? So, ready or not, let's rank the sets of 2024. Number 10, and in dead last, is Ravnica Clue Edition. Guys, nobody wants this. Nobody needed this. Nobody asked for this. Why does it exist? I get that Hasbro owns Clue, and maybe they're like, oh, hey, an IP we don't have to pay for, but it's still different and exciting. No, it's not. It was just so lame and poorly executed on so many levels. The one good thing I will say about it is they did create a handful of new cards that are actually pretty exciting. The new Insect Commander Amzu is pretty cool. Suppressor Skyguard is great in Night decks and Control decks, and Corporeal Projection is just a really fun overall card. Those cards and a handful of other cards may have a place in your deck, and they even have a few decent reprints from Ravnica's history and with the Shocklands. Not bad. Here's the problem. There's only one way to get those cards, in a $65 bundle box. There are no play or draft or collector boosters of any kind. They're so inaccessible. At $65 and with no other boosters to buy individually, no one's going to be able to get their hands on these cards. The whole thing just seems so dumb to me. It honestly feels like a pseudo Universes Beyond secret lair. What I think happened was they made Ravnica Remastered this year and Murders at Karlov Manor, and all the leftovers that they didn't know where to put in either of those sets ended up in sort of this redheaded stepchild set. No offense. I just think they had nowhere to put these cards, and so they threw them in a set that no one wanted. Overall, it's barely a set, and it's not good. Coming in at number 9 is Murders at Karlov Manor. Look, this is not a bad set. It's just a little forgettable, and the detective thing sort of felt forced onto a really important plane in Magic's history. The special art treatments on this set?
Oh, hell no, man. What the fuck, man? Get your ass up.
Oh, look at it. The dossier thing, are they all white? I don't understand. The magnifying glass felt lazy. Not good. And nobody cared about the serialized cards from this set. I'm sorry. I will say that some of the cards have a surprising amount of staying power. Cards like the Surveil Lands, Vein Ripper, Archdruid's Charm, and Trouble with Art, or whatever. Yeah, those cards are all great and have seen a ton of play across Commander. But the set overall was just kind of a miss for me. Cases were underwhelming, and mechanics like Collect Evidence or the face down stuff just didn't quite work for me or get me excited to play more. And while the Commander decks were among some of the weaker from this year, they were still pretty solid. And actually, the Boros Commander, Nelly Borka, was one of the most fun Boros Commanders I've ever played with, full stop. Probably my favorite, honestly. Anyway, let's move on. Number 8, Ravnica Remastered. Look, I don't think anyone is going to have a ton of feelings or complain about these remastered sets that they're doing. It's a great way to condense a ton of history from these planes and put it in one place. They're fun, they're reliable, they're consistent, and they're some of our favorite planes. That said, I don't know if anyone is really high-fiving a million angels about this set. It's just sort of there if you want it. This set definitely had some big reprints. Like Cyclonic Rift, Guardian Project, Cloudstone Curio, bangers. We love to see it. I might catch some flack for this, but unless you're a diehard for Ravnica, it kind of just felt like filler. Nothing particularly wrong with this set. It just didn't quite excite me. No shade though, very solid set. Not much else to say about that. Number 7, Assassin's Creed. I really struggled with where to rank this set because I have a lot of mixed feelings about this set. I was surprised by how much I really enjoyed this set and how useful I found this set. But it's not without its flaws. I really like how small and simple this set is. It was 100 cards, no uncommons, they trimmed the fat, Wizards didn't force it on us. It was just sort of there. But the Beyond booster is not great. It's like they thought, hey, we're not giving you any commons, so we're gonna jack up the prices and give you way fewer cards. And you'd think they would have learned their lesson from the Epilogue boosters, but they didn't. And the set was not draftable, which is not a deal breaker, but it is such a fun way to interact with the set. On a positive note, the cards were surprisingly unique. It's a pretty dynamic set with a ton of fun new commanders, a lot of amazing artifacts, and I think free running is one of the most underrated mechanics of the year and one of the best. These cards feel genuinely impactful. The biggest head scratcher on this set is why does it exist? And not why does it exist at all, but why does it exist before so many other IPs within Universes Beyond that could have and should have been prioritized over this one. This feels like a Universes Beyond set that should be thrown like 5 years into the future. It's like someone at Wizards hopped on a Reddit forum about Dream Universes Beyond sets, scrolled for like 10 minutes. Not Dune, not Harry Potter, not Elder Scrolls. Hey, somebody said Assassin's Creed. It has 0 upvotes and it says SpongeBob next to it, but let's do this. Too soon. Overall, a good set. I think it will continue to be an underrated set that has a ton of gems for people to dig into for years to come. Number 6, Duskmourn. I like this set a lot. I think it excelled in a ton of different areas. It might not have stuck the landing in others though. Flavor and lore-wise, jury's still out. A haunted house that's a plane filled with a demon's nightmarish creations. Love it. But iconic characters and planeswalkers with radar equipment and ghost vacuums? Don't love it. If Kamigawa Neon Dynasty was an example of how to bring in futuristic technological elements into a high fantasy setting, then Duskmourn was kind of the opposite. This sounds like I'm roasting this set. I promise I'm not. I do think it's really fun when a set prioritizes a card type and sort of makes it the focus of the whole set. In this instance, enchantments. From rooms to enchantment creatures, this set was an absolute home run in that department. Some of the other mechanical aspects of the set felt a little half-baked or weak to me. I really liked Manifest. I thought that was cool that you could make it either positive or negative. You could hurt people with it or filter through your stuff. I loved that. But nothing else felt that revolutionary for me. It did have a ton of great art treatments. And the commander decks were mostly really strong and really cool. Duskmourn is a set that I'm really excited to come back to and see what else they can do with it. Coming in at number 5 is Fallout. I'm about to say something that makes me feel like that Norman Rockwell painting meme, the guy. Fallout is the second best Universes Beyond set. Going into this set, the bar was pretty low. And again, like Assassin's Creed, Wizards did not force this set upon us. It was just supplemental, it was just commander decks and some collector boosters, nothing to get too excited or upset or crazy about. But it nailed the flavor and brought these two worlds together in such a good way. This set was a fun, pleasant surprise. Overall, cards felt memorable and impactful, and it spun things around without trampling what makes Magic so fun and distinct. Radiation and Junk are two examples that I think did that really, really well. It feels like a set that just sort of keeps giving the more you keep digging. I genuinely feel like this is the right way to pull off a Universes Beyond set, especially with an IP that may be a little divisive among fans. Fallout, you done good. Number 4, Outlaws of Thunder Junction. The long requested Western set that fans were excited and skeptical about did a lot of things very well. I enjoyed this set immensely. First of all, the mechanics on this set were dynamite. Committing a crime, really good. Plotting cards, very useful. And spree cards took the whole set to the next level. I think cards with elements like spree become staples really quickly. Mounts were cool, kind of living vehicles, but I don't think they quite nailed it yet. I am excited to see what else they can do with it. As far as the Western setting goes, it was okay. It wasn't awkward or anything, it did just feel a little forced. I think it relied too heavily on the audience to bridge the gap for them between fantasy and Western. I think we're just sort of expected to accept that our favorite characters now wear cowboy hats and say y'all and wear dusters or whatever. Instead, I think maybe they could have done some more work on building up the plane, justifying its existence, and seeing the mashup of fantasy and Western coming together in a kind of a cool way. However, it's not a deal breaker for me. The breaking news and big score cards were the money piece for this set. Mana Drain, Mindbreak Trap, Force of Vigor, Vaultborn Tyrant, Sword of Wealth and Power, Simulacrum Synthesizer, Loot. This little freak looks like he wants to suck on your feet, doesn't he? Still, they loaded so many great new cards and reprints and bangers into the set and just threw them at players. It takes the set from being sort of a fun experiment to being sensational and a set that you want to receive packs of and buy singles from over and over again. Really good set. Moving on to our top three. Number 3, Foundations. I will say that this is the most surprising set of the year for me. It is such a powerhouse and so unassumingly great. I initially thought that this set was going to be one to skip, honestly. I thought that it was going to be mostly reprints and mostly geared towards a beginner audience. But it is stuffed to the gills with gold. And it sort of just casually and quietly has some of the most exciting and best designs of the year. This set was literally designed to have staying power. It is wonderfully balanced with a ton of powerful new cards like Blasphemous Edict, Bloodthirsty Conqueror, and Raise the Past. It's also filled with a ton of great staple reprints like Llanowar Elves, Doubling Season, and Boros Charm. And not that they had to, but they made one of the best jumpstart sets ever and quietly snuck in some of the coolest commander cards with amazing anime treatments. I'm super happy with this set. I know I've said this a lot with sets this year, but it genuinely feels like a set I will come back to more than almost any of the other ones. Cannot recommend this set enough. If you haven't yet, go buy yourself some amazing staples for your decks. Okay, we're down to the final 2. Number 2, Bloomburrow. Bloomburrow is not only one of the best sets of the year, it's one of the best standard sets we've ever had. First off, Bloomburrow is such a flavor. The plane, 10 out of 10. The story, astounding. The art, unreal. I also happen to think that it is mechanically brilliant. It marries lore and gameplay so seamlessly. Offspring, gifting, foraging, expend. I have no notes. Art treatments and ideology of how existing characters fit into this plane was about as close to perfect as you can get. The imagined critters and special guest cards are fantastic and kind of started to turn me into a collector, not just a player. All of the commander decks were the best of the year, in my opinion. They were accessible, they were powerful out of the box, and they were so distinct from one another. And more than most standard sets, I feel like Bloomburrow brought in a ton of new players. Maybe that was just my experience, but so many people that have recently got into Magic got in because of Bloomburrow. Picked up a precon and rolled with it. I think because it was cute and it was familiar and it was approachable and it was fun. And I really hope that it sends a message to Wizards of the Coast that standard sets still have a place and can still garner and bring in so many new players without having to reach into places like Universes Beyond. Here was my only issue with the set. It wasn't with the cards, the design, any of those elements. It was just the distribution. More than any other previous set, your capacity to pull rares or higher significantly dropped off with Bloomburrow. Maybe it was just me, but I feel like I didn't pull any mythics in Bloomburrow. To be fair, I always feel like it's the people who want to pull well who pull nothing, and the people who have never played Magic who are like, oh, what's this? It's the one ring. That's interesting. I think the universe knows that I just want it too badly, which is fair. I love you, Bloomburrow. Never change. Come back soon, please. Which means coming in at number 1 is in fact Modern Horizons 3. I don't know, this is just the type of set that makes you proud to be a Magic the Gathering player, you know? It's, wow, thank you. Modern Horizons 3 is one of the greatest Magic sets ever. Standard, any format, whatever. This is one of the best sets ever. I think some people might even argue that it's the best set ever. I've read a lot of articles of people saying sets aren't like this. In my 13 years of playing Magic, I don't know if I've ever come across a set that has done what Modern Horizons 3 has done. I went back and forth on number 1 and number 2 on this list for a while, but I think what it really came down to for me was impact. Staples, 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 staples. Flare cycles, MDFC lands, Lipwalkers, Eldrazi Heaven, new balanced takes on old favorites like Birthing Ritual and Necro Dominance, a flood of powerful reprints like the Evoke Elementals, Fetch Lands, and Medallions. I could literally go on and on and on and on. This set is a big deal in terms of cards that we will see in most every deck moving forward. Sets rarely do that, like ever. I think the last set to do that was Modern Horizons 2. Also, the art on this set, are you kidding me?
I can't stop winning. I can't
Dude,
stop winning.
the borderless bleed overs are wild. They cranked it up to 11. Modern Horizons 3 is like if your favorite band just released their most groundbreaking album while releasing their greatest hits album at the same time. I honestly think that it's a love letter to longtime Magic the Gathering players. It was obviously built for Modern, but it will give Commander players so much to pick over for the next several years. A lot of people were annoyed that they threw on Commander decks with this set, which I do understand. I think that the Commander decks that lived in this set maybe should have been put with a set like Foundations. They should have thrown in some accessible, powerful commanders in a set like Foundations and let Modern Horizons 3 sort of just be its own distinct thing. But since Commander precons are the most accessible and affordable way to play the game, I'm never going to harp on them for giving us more. Lastly, one of the most refreshing parts about this set is how affordable it is. Prices on sets like Double Masters or Commander Masters are still way high, and so this feels like a genuine breath of fresh air. Yeah, Modern Horizons 3 is the best set of 2024. Whew. We made it. These are my rankings. It's highly likely that your rankings will look different. I like that, and I'd love to hear how your opinions differ from mine. Do you feel like I was fair? Do you feel like I overlooked anything? I genuinely want to hear about it in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. There's a lot more Magic content we have to cover. I'm glad you're here. Thanks for watching.